TV soap news and spoilers say that Beyond the Gates, a day of betrayal, violence, and dark secrets, July 23, 2025. On this fateful day, July 23, 2025, the quiet town beyond the gates of our story was anything but serene. The air was thick with tension, secrets whispered in shadowed corners, and relationships teetered on the edge of collapse. From hospital corridors echoing with betrayal to diner brawls fueled by jealousy, the events of this day wove a tapestry of drama that left hearts racing and lives irrevocably changed. Join us as we unravel the tangled web of love, lies, and vengeance that unfolded, pulling you deep into the emotional maelstrom of Beyond the Gates. A hospital scene steeped in suspicion. The morning began with a scene that could have been ripped from a soap opera's most gripping episode. Allison, her forehead marred by a fresh, angry gash, staggered into the hospital, her face pale and her eyes clouded with pain. Beside her, Chelsea, ever the loyal friend, or perhaps something more, guided her with a steady hand, her expression a mixture of concern and urgency. The sterile white walls of the hospital seemed to close in around them, amplifying the weight of their shared silence. What had happened to Allison? And why was Chelsea, of all people, the one by her side? Madison, Chelsea's partner, stood frozen in the hospital waiting room, her eyes widening at the sight of the two women together. The air crackled with unspoken questions as Madison's gaze darted between Chelsea's protective stance and Allison's trembling form. Her heart, already fragile from the complexities of her relationship with Chelsea, thudded painfully in her chest. Was this a betrayal? A misunderstanding? Or something far more sinister? As Shanice and Ashley, the hospital's ever-efficient nurses, rushed to bandage Allison's wound, Chelsea pulled Madison aside, her voice low but firm. "Madison, you know I love you," she whispered, her eyes pleading for understanding. "This isn't what it looks like. Allison needed help, and I was there. That's all." But Madison's eyes, sharp with suspicion, betrayed her doubts. She leaned closer, her voice barely audible over the hum of hospital machinery. "Did she lie about that injury, Chelsea? And why were you with her in the first place?" The question hung in the air like a guillotine, threatening to sever the fragile trust between them. Chelsea's hesitation was brief but telling, her eyes flickering with something Madison couldn't quite place, guilt, perhaps, or fear of saying too much. In a hushed tone, Chelsea admitted, "Allison and I were just talking. She called me, said she was hurt, and I couldn't leave her alone." But then, in a move that shocked Madison, Chelsea turned to Allison and said, "Madison and I are in love, Allison. I don't want you to get the wrong idea. We're keeping this quiet for now, but you need to know." The words were a dagger to Allison's heart, her face crumpling as she processed the revelation. Yet, she said nothing, her silence louder than any protest. Madison watched her closely, noting the way Allison's fingers trembled as she touched the bandage on her head. Was it pain, or was it deception? Later, alone with Chelsea, Allison dropped a bombshell that shifted the narrative entirely. "Craig did this to me," she said, her voice breaking as she pointed to the gash. "My husband. He's been losing control lately." The accusation hung heavy, painting a picture of domestic turmoil that neither Chelsea nor Madison had suspected. But was it true? Or was Allison spinning a tale to garner sympathy and drive a wedge between the lovers? A tangled love triangle. Hours later, Madison visited Allison in her hospital room, her heart a battlefield of emotions. Chelsea was there, her arm around Allison's shoulders, offering comfort that seemed to pierce Madison's soul. The sight of them together, so intimate, so familiar, was a bitter pill to swallow. Dr. Reynolds, the hospital's chief physician, observed the scene with a raised eyebrow, his usually composed demeanor tinged with disapproval. "This is a hospital, not a soap opera," he muttered under his breath, but the tension in the room was palpable. Madison's patience snapped. She pulled Chelsea aside, her voice low and laced with warning. "You need to be careful, Chelsea. Allison's playing games, and I won't stand by while she manipulates you. Her words were a mix of protectiveness and possessiveness, a desperate plea to preserve what they had. But was she warning Chelsea about Allison's potential deceit, or was it a thinly veiled threat to end their relationship if Chelsea continued to blur the lines with her ex? The question lingered, unanswered, as Chelsea's eyes searched Madison's face for reassurance that wasn't there. The hospital, once a place of healing, had become a stage for a love triangle fraught with mistrust. Allison's injury, whether self-inflicted or the result of Craig's alleged violence, was a catalyst that exposed the fault lines in their relationships. Chelsea, caught in the middle, felt the weight of both women's expectations, her heart torn between loyalty to Madison and compassion for Allison. And Madison, ever the skeptic, couldn't shake the feeling that Allison's story was a carefully crafted lie designed to pull Chelsea back into her orbit. A diner brawl and opportunistic schemes across town, the drama took a darker turn at the local diner, where the scent of coffee and fried eggs was overshadowed by a violent confrontation. Leslie, a woman known for her sharp tongue and sharper ambitions, had been digging into Nicole's past, specifically her relationship with Ted. The two women sat across from each other in a worn booth, the air between them charged with hostility. Leslie's questions were pointed, each one a jab at Nicole's vulnerabilities. "So, how was your time with Ted?" she asked, her smile dripping with malice. "Did he make you feel special, or was it just another fling?" Nicole's face darkened, her hands clenching into fists beneath the table. She had reached her breaking point, the wounds of her past with Ted still raw and bleeding. Without warning, she lunged across the table, her hands wrapping around Leslie's throat in a fit of rage. The diner erupted into chaos, patrons gasping as coffee cups clattered to the floor. Leslie's eyes widened in shock, her hands clawing at Nicole's grip, but Nicole's fury was unrelenting, her fingers tightening as she hissed, "You don't get to talk about him like that." The confrontation might have ended in tragedy if not for Ted's swift intervention. He leapt from his seat, his strong hands pulling the women apart with a force born of desperation. "Enough!" he roared, his voice cutting through the din. Nicole stumbled back, her chest heaving, while Leslie coughed and clutched her throat, her eyes gleaming with a dangerous mix of fear and calculation. The diner fell silent, all eyes on the trio, but Leslie's mind was already spinning. This wasn't just a fight, it was an opportunity. Leslie, ever the opportunist, saw Allison's injury and the diner brawl as pieces of a larger puzzle she could manipulate to her advantage. She had always been a master at turning chaos into opportunity, and this day was no exception. As she rubbed her bruised neck, a plan formed in her mind. She would use the incident to gain sympathy, perhaps even leverage it to undermine Nicole's credibility in their tight-knit community. And Allison's injury? That was another thread to pull, another secret to exploit. Leslie's ambitions were boundless, and she was determined to come out on top, no matter the cost. A murder mystery unfolds as if the day hadn't seen enough turmoil. A darker shadow loomed over the town, a murder that would send shockwaves through its core. Kenny, a well-known figure in the community, was dead, and the circumstances were shrouded in mystery. Whispers of foul play circulated, and all eyes turned to Detective Marcel, the man who had pulled the trigger. But the truth was more complex than it seemed. Bill, a shadowy figure with his own motives, had been the one to press the button that set the fatal chain of events in motion. What had driven him to such an extreme act? And how much did Marcel know? Jacob, the town's relentless investigator, was already on the case, his sharp mind piecing together clues that others overlooked. He had a reputation for uncovering truths no one wanted exposed, and this case was no different. As he dug deeper, he began to unravel a web of deceit that connected Bill's actions to Marcel's fatal shot. Was it a conspiracy? A personal vendetta? Or something far more sinister? Jacob's investigation promised to unearth secrets that could shake the town to its foundations, and the residents of Beyond the Gates braced themselves for the fallout. A day of reckoning, July 23, 2025, was a day that would be etched into the memories of those who lived beyond the gates. From Allison's mysterious injury to Chelsea and Madison's fractured trust, from Leslie's calculated schemes to Nicole's explosive rage, and from Kenny's tragic death to Jacob's relentless pursuit of justice, the town was a powder keg of emotions and secrets. Each character played their part in a drama that was as heartbreaking as it was thrilling, their lives intertwined in ways they could scarcely comprehend. As the sun set over the town, casting long shadows across the streets, the residents were left to grapple with the consequences of their actions. Would Chelsea and Madison find a way to mend their relationship, or would Allison's presence drive them apart? Could Leslie turn her pain into power, or would her schemes backfire? And would Jacob uncover the truth behind Kenny's death, exposing the darkness at the heart of their community? For those eager to dive deeper into the drama, our channel invites you to follow along as we unravel the next chapter of Beyond the Gates. The stories of July 23rd are just the beginning, and the secrets waiting to be uncovered promise to be even more explosive. We hope you enjoyed it and look forward to sharing more with you in the future. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to CBS Beyond the Gates spoilers for more updates on Beyond the Gates.